Well, K-State fought for about 3/4 in this one today in Manhattan, but Texas Tech ran away late. Final score not indicative of how competitive this game was, but there's a lot to break down, man. K-State ran into a better team today in Texas Tech, and guess what? You guys get to talk about it just with me. All right, me, myself, and I. Let's go. All right, welcome into the Fremont postgame show. It is just me. We may be getting Cole. We're working on that. We're trying with his phone connection on the way back from the game. So bear with me. This will be a day if you guys love living it up in the comments. Today is your day because I will have much more time and space to discuss the game with you in the comment section. But obviously, I am here at Bill Snyder Family Stadium after K-State loses 43-20 to Texas Tech. I mean, this was a 29-20 game into the final 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. At that point, Texas Tech's pinning its ears back. They get a strip sack, run in for a touchdown. They get an interception following that when K-State and Avery Johnson were just in desperation mode. Made the final score look a little deceiving, though Texas Tech did. I mean, they won this game. They went out and certainly outplayed K-State and were 2 scores better than the Wildcats today. I know that's disappointing for everybody, but we did have a nice tailgate this morning thanks to our friends at Holiday Distillery, so appreciate their help. There was plenty of Ben Holiday bottled and bond bourbon to go around at the tailgate earlier this morning, so we appreciate that. They're great sponsors, great folks who support us here, and I know everybody who showed up. First of all, thank you to everybody who showed up. Had a great time chatting with a bunch of you. Everybody who showed up appreciates Holiday Distillery for the hospitality and the free booze, which I heard many great things about as per usual. So thank you to Holiday. Okay. Well, man, where do we start with this game? This was, we've got DY. Wow. That is an upset and a surprise. I was expecting that to be Cole, and there pops up DY.
Yeah. Squeezing myself in here. Don't feel great about what's happening in my place, but I think I got the situation rectified as at the moment with the little apartment home problems. I'm sure some people can relate to some crises that happened. There was a crisis on the football field, especially in the second half today, let me tell you.
Okay, well, good segue. I hope that we may get Cole. I see Texas Tech fans are wanting to hear from Cole after the game. We may get Cole in here too. We'll see what happens there. I don't know, DY. Like I see some of the anger. I was scanning through the comments before we popped on here. I know people are frustrated and upset after that game, and it's reasonable, especially with just how sloppy K-State was with the amount of drops and fumbles that occurred today. But I mean, Jacob Rodriguez is a dog, dude. Like he leads the country in fumbles forced for a reason, and Texas Tech's defense is really good. They forced 5 turnovers. They had 12 tackles for loss. They scored a touchdown. They had a couple of sacks. That's kind of what Texas Tech does. To me, I just feel like K-State, to me, this was still what K-State has been for the last month. I mean, maybe a tad bit sloppier, but I think they played about to the same level they've played at for the past month. Texas Tech is just better when they have competent quarterback play. And Baron Morton, I think, was still a bit rusty today and wasn't always great, but he was competent. And that's with the rest of that roster. All Tech needs is competent quarterback play, and it's going to be tough to beat them. So could you have made this like a one-possession game down to the gun had you hung on to the ball and not had, a horrific half from Jace Brown in the first half? Yeah, you probably could have. But I do think it's one of those where, Tech did show that they're the better team.
I thought Texas Tech won because they were the better team, as you would just laid out right there. I agree. I thought that game kind of was an example of a have and a have not right now with the talent level across the board. Some of that is, I get what's going on and kind of maybe needing to remove yourself from the distraction a little bit, but you needed Dylan Edwards. You didn't have Dylan Edwards. I thought there were some things really blocked up in the run game in the first half that Kansas State wasn't able to take advantage of because Joe Jackson, quite frankly, is not explosive enough, is not fast enough, is not good enough. And when you're not as talented in the backfield and you're not as talented on the offensive line as they are talented on the defensive line, that makes it hard to run the ball. So then you are now one-dimensional. and that puts a lot of pressure on Avery Johnson. And when they know you are one-dimensional, they can pin back three of the best pass rushers in the entire conference and let them wreak havoc on you. So you're just running into a lot of problems that they present and into their strengths because you are not good enough in one area, and the snowball effect happens. So there is a sense of haves versus have not. And if you want to beat Texas Tech, and if you want to someday be as good as Texas Tech, then across the board as an athletic department, you probably need to look at yourself in the mirror. And I know that's a bigger picture discussion, and decide what you want to be and how much you want to commit. And I know that's not just an athletic department thing, that's a financial thing. And you have to have donors also willing to fork that over. Not that Kansas State has the same kind of resources in that capacity as Texas Tech, but they probably have more than they're committing to it. And there's some education that needs to go along with that. And there's some, quite frankly, if you are unsatisfied with the results, then almost put your money where your mouth is when it comes to some people that have the ability to pay as well. Like I said, that's a bigger discussion. Let's talk about the game. I get that. A little bit sloppier than usual, but aside from the late turnovers when you're just trying to pull off some miracles there at the end and maybe Avery's first interception, those turnovers happen. Yes, maybe you're sloppy with the ball, but two, because Texas Tech's just that damn good.
I mean, if you want to single out the most costly, honestly, of any of that, I actually think, like, if you told me, hey, John, you get a chance to reverse one of those plays, I would actually reverse Jace Brown's first big drop, which was going to put K-State was going to be up likely 10-0 or perhaps more if he doesn't drop that one. I'm trying to remember what had happened right before was that a fourth down stop? They got the ball in a short field and did absolutely nothing, did not move the ball at all. But Jace had a really nice in cut. Avery put it right on him and he dropped it, and it would have put them in field goal range. Luis Rodriguez has been basically automatic. If you go up 10-0 or if it's 14-0 there, you're putting more game pressure on Tech. You're building more confidence. The place gets more juiced, which maybe that's something we can talk about tonight. I thought the atmosphere was frankly a little bit flat throughout, especially considering the situation. That was disappointing.
Even the second half was a 3-point game. Like, that was a weak-ass crowd across the board, even when the game was still in the balance.
Look, crowd, I was trying to tiptoe around it and say you were flat. DY went right for it. But yeah, I mean, from the beginning of the game, just didn't feel like it was not up to par, for like an elite atmosphere. And I went to BYU Utah a couple weeks ago. I just saw one of those, and I've seen them here in Manhattan, but wasn't it today. And then the most disappointing thing is definitely, I mean, this third quarter thing is just going to continue to be an issue if they don't get rid of the, re-entry policy. And I know some people hate that. You can hate it, but the atmosphere sucks in the third quarter. It's totally dead. And Texas Tech completely kicked your ass up and down in the third quarter. They scored 17 points. The offense was not bothered at all. And early in the game, you got 3 false starts / encroachment on the offense somehow, penalties that killed Texas Tech drives. So it does matter. It does make a difference. So if you want to go eat beanie weenies at halftime and not come back in for the third quarter, you can do it. But just know it does make a difference for the team here.
I've covered of all the really good atmospheres I covered. Iowa State's a good atmosphere. Kansas State's a good atmosphere. West Virginia, when they're humming, is a good atmosphere. Texas Tech, good atmosphere. Utah, BYU. I've been and so have you, John. We've covered the best atmospheres in the Big 12. Of all of those really good atmospheres, the worst third quarter one by far in the entire Big 12 is Kansas State. So look at yourselves in the mirror and decide if re-entry is that important to you, because no other stadium is that weak compared to what they are for the first half in the third quarter. You come back, the stadium's 60 to 70% full. I see it outside. They're on the concourses. They're in the parking lots. It is bad. And the students don't come back as much anymore either. So it's not just the normal people. And even when it was full, you're on defense, it's in the fourth quarter. It's a 1 or 2 possession game. And I know it's 8 points. Yeah, I still call that one possession. And it's just I don't know. I could probably count on 10 to 15 other games that were louder. And yeah, you could say, oh, we're 4-4. I mean, yeah, but I mean,
you're still in the Big 12 title race. And
if you beat Texas Tech today, it's totally different. So yeah,
my frustration.
I don't want to sit here and criticize the crowd.
Yeah, I mean, look, we're on a tangent, but it needed to be said today. I mean, the other thing that killed me was I looked over at Drew. So it was a 9-point game, right? I mean, it's a two possession game, but there's we're like midway through the fourth quarter. It's a 9-point game. The fans bail when K-State turns it over on downs, I believe it was at that point, and then Tech gets the ball back. Well, the defense forces a stop. So a bunch of the crowd's already left. You're at like 50% capacity. There's over 5 minutes left in the game, and K-State has the ball down 9. Now, I know that going against Tech's defense, it can feel kind of frustrating, but you're literally just one guy falling and popping a huge play away from that being a 2-point game with 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter and having the stadium 50% gone because everybody left. So, I mean, some of that is not K-State specific. It's just kind of fans and our attention spans. And I know it was cold out. I'm sitting here wearing a beanie in the press box, but like, I'm just telling you, if you want to have the reputation of being an intimidating atmosphere, you got to do better than that today. That was bad.
Yeah, no, it was bad. I think producer wants you to take a real quick break here already.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll take a break. Come back and we've got Cole. All right. So somehow we wound up with all three of us. Tech fans that were in the comments. I guess Cole is coming up next.
Hey, NFL fans, what's your favorite touchdown? For me, it's the next one. And that's because with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown could bring you closer to cashing in. First touchdown scores to anytime touchdown props or the thrill of live in-game betting, every snap is loaded with opportunity. And here's the best part. New customers bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. So your team hitting pay dirt pays out to you. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. If you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. Must be 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. The bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, visit dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer.
No cool, actually, John. No cool.
Okay, no cool. All right, fine. Pump fake. Yeah. Okay. Well, DY, I mean, to me, let's just go ahead and knock this out then. To me, the top storyline, like if we're going to talk about the nuts and bolts of the game and what happened to K-State, the top storyline, which is brought to you by our good friends at Alenco, ALENCO home.com to get hooked up with all your home improvement needs. Thank you to our good friends at Alenco there. The top storyline is it is the sloppiness of K-State. You get an early interception from Austin Romaine somehow with wearing a giant club on his arm. He gets like a one-handed interception, and Avery Johnson had one of his worst pass of the season immediately after that, putting one up for grabs. Too much congestion. It gets intercepted. You waste that opportunity. I mentioned Jace's big drop when you could have gone up double digits early. He also obviously put the ball on the ground 2 other times. One of them he got lucky. It didn't wind up being deemed a fumble. The other one did wind up being a fumble and was a turnover. There's just too much of that. All the last 2 turnovers, I think it's fine to say, hey, you're just trying at that point, Tech's teeing off. But it was everything mentioned before that really killed you when you blew your opportunities. And that's how you needed all of that to create like a 1 possession game into the fourth quarter today.
Yeah, they blew some chances that they may have had early with some mistakes. I thought Texas Tech, though, like, I'll be honest, I thought Texas Tech forced them into some of those mistakes. Now, the Avery interception, maybe not, but those fumbles are not just dropping the ball. Like, they're getting knocked out, and it's not a fluke, right? Texas Tech is good at knocking them out. They are probably the best in the country at knocking them out. It's hard to hang on to it. They are a good team. Sometimes I think we get a little bit into a trap where we say so-and-so loses, they must have played poorly. I don't think Kansas State played great. I'm not going to put the wool over anyone's eyes on that. And they had too many turnovers. But aside from one, and then the two last gasps late where you're trying to make something out of nothing because it's just the situations you're forced into, I thought Texas Tech created those because they are a good team. They are a better team than Kansas State. We came into this year thinking Kansas State was pretty talented. If not for the Dylan Edwards situation, if maybe not for the George Fitzpatrick situation that happened over the summer, maybe we're talking about a little bit of a different team, because I think the drop-offs from them to their alternatives were pretty drastic. And then probably over-calculating on some of the talent. And then having other injuries that at least sidetracked for a little bit some of the talent. But like Kansas State is not as talented as Texas Tech. It's not close. So sometimes when your coaches are not so good that they can erase maybe 14-point discrepancies between the two clubs, this is what it looks like when you're that inferior talent-wise to the other team. What I think this highlights, though, if I'm going to keep on this tangent, and I know a lot of my answers are similar, John, I'm sorry about that, but I think this highlights why, like, you lost all mulligans in margin for error by playing piss poor the first month and a half. Like, I think this highlights how bad it was in September. The fact that you had such a bad September that you can't afford this kind of loss on November 1st. I think that's probably the storyline. But there again, like if Texas Tech plays close to their A game, nobody's beating them.
See, that's what I was going to say. Like, I think, and I know, like, I see frustration. People like, oh, why are we not chipping more? Why are we not using Lincoln Cure? Look, guys, I mean, nothing against Lincoln Cure. Lincoln Cure is not solving that. Lincoln Cure is not making that up. Nobody in the Big 12 really is. Like, this to me felt a lot. It was pretty similar to how the Utah game played out earlier this year when Tech went on the road at Utah, where it's pretty close. It's kind of a dogfight into the early moments of the fourth quarter. And then Tech just overwhelms you because they're going to wear you down, because especially they're so much better in the trenches. Like, this is what you need to understand about Tech. The way they spent their money. I know everybody talks about the money. They were very wise with it. It's not just throwing money at something. We have seen with K-State basketball how that can backfire on you sometimes. You got to be wise with how you do it. And Tech said, look, the difference between SEC rosters and Big 12 rosters is they're so much better in the trenches. So let's spend big on guys on the defensive and offensive lines, particularly defensive line. And that's what won out. It just wore K-State down, and you were not going to be able to consistently move the ball enough, assuming that you get competent offense Texas Tech. And for the most part, they did, with Baron Morton now back at quarterback. So we can whine and complain and Matt Wells this. I thought Matt Wells was pretty good today. I mean, I thought he did about as well as he could to try and put guys in position to get some offense generated. And for a half, Joe Klanderman held Texas Tech to 4 yards per play. So even the defense, for a half did some good things. Tech's just a better team. Like, they were pushed through and do that to you eventually. And if Baron Morton stays healthy, and that is the thing that may be a frustration, I guess, for K-State fans, is if he goes on to get hurt and doesn't play out the rest of the year, maybe they don't make Arlington in the Big 12 championship game. We saw what happened at Arizona State when they did not have Baron Morton. But if they have him and he's just playing competently at quarterback, which it was nothing spectacular today, but competently at quarterback, I don't think anyone in the Big 12 is beating him. Like, if that happens next week in Lubbock, I don't think BYU's beating them. I mean, that's just the reality. So then we're back into the conversation DY started to go into earlier about, resources and money, and are you going to spend to try and keep up with them? Like, because that's the deal. They're a better team.
You could say we don't think that players should be paid this, but then if you're going to say that, don't get mad when you lose to someone that does. That's part of it. What I would say to your last comment, like, either be okay with paying them and say we need to pay more and let's get more and more and more. Or if you lose to Texas Tech, be like, okay, I didn't want to pay these guys more, so this is what we get. I mean, that's a little bit of it to me. And Texas Tech is a team that you have to stay attached to. And Kansas State in the second half got detached from Texas Tech on the scoreboard. And when you get detached from Texas Tech on the scoreboard, you go into obvious passing situations and passing downs where they know you're going to throw. I would say, well, let's chip them. Okay, you chip them. But people have to realize what chip them means, right? You had to keep an extra guy or two in. So now you have less guys running routes. And they only have to rush with 4, Texas Tech, right? They don't have to blitz. They'll get you with 4 because they are that good. So if you're going to stay a guy into chip or a guy or 2 into chip, then you're talking about 6 or 7 blocking 4. Do you know what that means? Then you have 7 guarding 3 or 6 or 7 guarding 4. So now they can double team damn near every route you run. That's the problem with chipping, right? It's great. You could say, hey, let's chip. Okay, but when they only have to rush 4 and you're chipping, so you have 6 guys blocking 4, that means they have 7 guys guarding 4. Like, there are problems that Texas Tech presents. This is what it is. That's why you got to stay attached to them on the scoreboard and not be so reliant and into obvious passing situations and passing downs. And I heard someone say, then why don't we run the ball? Well, let's look at how Kansas State ran the ball in those situations. Yeah. Joe Jackson, so we're looking at the traditional run game. Joe Jackson, before non-garbage time, is the only traditional running back, traditional run game. He had 10 carries for 25 yards. So traditional run game, 2.5 yards per carry. So, hey, let's run the ball. You can't run the ball. Texas Tech is that good up front. They are tough to block. So it's like, well, why didn't we run Avery more? Well, if you take out that 46-yard touchdown from Avery Johnson, he had 14 carries for 42 yards. So he only had 3 yards per carry outside of one freaking run. Like, at some point, nobody wants to hear this. The other team is better than you. And yes, your coaches probably made some mistakes and did some things that you didn't like. But there was nothing that they could do to maybe overcome that talent discrepancy. Everyone's like, well, in the past, Kansas State could beat Texas in Oklahoma. And it took outstanding coaching work to get that done. And I would say a better run game to get that done. Kansas State doesn't have that this year. That's one thing where it's hard to stay attached to this talented of a Texas Tech squad. And in the past, even those Texas and Oklahoma squads that were far more talented as well, right? You need a run game, whether it's DJ Giddens, Deuce Vaughn, how many other running backs, or a quarterback that can run for 10 yards a carry. Like, this team is just not built to do that. They are built to throw the ball a little bit, but like, if you get in obvious passing downs, you're feeding right into Texas Tech. This is a poor matchup across the board for Texas Tech, or for Kansas State to play Texas Tech. And Kansas State needs a run game. I'm right. Bill Snyder would have said we would have ran the damn ball. Yeah, he would have. But he wouldn't have ran the ball with this guy, with these guys, because Kansas State can't run the ball with these guys. Like, Bill Snyder is a terrific coach. I don't think Bill Snyder beats this Texas Tech team, because I don't think Bill Snyder can win with this offensive line, if I'm being quite honest, who's average at best, maybe above average. They get made look really bad against Texas Tech. But then Joe Jackson, a running back. Like, I don't want to beat a dead horse here with Joe Jackson, but like, there were times in the first half where it was actually blocked up. And I told this to the guy sitting next to me, whether it be KSU_fan, John, Drew Galloway, who was there today. I'm like, man, there's things that are getting blocked up, but Joe Jackson takes a day and a half to get to the hole. Like, you're not good. You're not good enough at running back right now. That is what it is. You're probably not good enough on the offensive line, but I thought they had some things blocked up at times.
Yeah, again, your script to win today was going to be that, and I know we've got Cole. I'll get to Cole in just a minute here. Your script to win today was going to be that you were going to have to not drop the ball, not let Jacob Rodriguez punch it loose. And I'm with you. I think, that's a dude making plays. I'm sure, I had kind of a snarky tweet there. I'm like, hey, maybe you should have said something about the fact that he led the nation in forced fumbles coming in. Sure, they knew that, but it's another thing to do it when you're actually out there. Garrett Oakley, it looked like, was at least in the process of trying to get 2 hands on the ball when his got punched loose. I mean, he's on Jacob Rodriguez is on scholarship for a reason. That's the Big 12 Defensive Player of the Year, I think. So
by far,
they make plays. But what you need to do is you needed to have a perfect game from like a turnover and drop standpoint. You needed to capitalize early when they gave you some stuff. You needed to bury him in a hole, and you probably needed Baron Morton to be gimpier, just not. You needed like a Will Hammond game or something. That was a tough draw that Baron Morton comes back to play you when Arizona State, for instance, got to play. Arizona State got Sam Levitt and Jordan Tyson and kind of used the last juice they could get out of them before they were hurt and out for the next couple of weeks in a game when Will Hammond was playing quarterback for Baron Morton, and then hung on for dear life at the very end because, again, Tech seems to really come alive late in games, and then they barely held on to win that way. And like, that's just the reality for everybody in the league outside of Texas Tech. So let's bring in Cole. Can we bring in Cole? Nick, do we want to do that?
Is he alive? Yep, there he is.
Cole's here.
Boy,
Oh,
what an experience trying to get on this StreamYard with you guys. So it's good to see you.
Yeah, we can barely see you. It's very dark, but it is good to have your presence here.
It's a dark time, John. A dark time.
Well, I mean, I assume you've been listening then. I mean, do you have anything like really specific from the game that you want to get into? Because I mean, I think our take has basically been like, this is really more just like a bigger picture kind of thing here. Like, that you've clearly heard what we have had to say. Do you differ in any way from that?
Well, let me take a look at my notes here. I got sticky notes on the window of the car. Vanessa was taking pictures of me as I was writing down stats and numbers and sticking sticky notes on the window. So, I mean, I disagree with you guys a little bit on the talking point around the crowd, only because I just am not interested in really talking about the crowd today, even though it was a little disappointing. But you got a 4-4 football team, you got a sold out stadium. They continue to sell it out. I get the point around reentry, guys, but I just, my frustration lies more in the fact that, Kansas State had the most turnovers in a game today since 2013.
I did comment on that at the end because I caught myself as we need to not criticize the fans as much as the team. So you're totally right on that. Yeah, totally agree. I'll let you go for it. Yep.
Yeah, no, but otherwise, I mean, yes, this was really just a situation where Texas Tech, the better football team all around, they outplayed Kansas State, but I would really like to see where this game would have went, guys, if Kansas State would have capitalized in that first quarter when they had the opportunity, because I would have liked to have seen Texas Tech have to play down 14 points to multiple scores. And to me, that's where the game was lost, because Kansas State, guys, in the first quarter of the game, Texas Tech, as I can find my sticky note here, let's see if I got the right one. 4 drives in the first quarter, 0 points by Texas Tech. 24 plays in the first quarter, 61 yards, 2.5 yards per play on those 4 drives. And Kansas State only led 7-0 after that. Kansas State, as you guys probably hit on, because I did miss some of the show, but Kansas State had drives that started at the Tech 39 and then at the K-State 42 during that sequence, and you got 0 points. And to me, the killer was, yes, the interception, the play by Avery where he threw the pick right after, that was a colossal failure and mistake. But to me, the real killer was the 4 plays not gaining a single yard starting at the Tech 39-yard line. And you had Jace Brown drop the pass that should have been a first down. You would have been in scoring position at that point at around the 25-yard line. Jace Brown had an awful first half. And he fumbled the ball. He had another drop that was a near fumble. He had a drop on the over the middle there that was a crucial play. He had a poor game. And, he's been good for Kansas State all season and for the last couple of years, but he really struggled. No surprise that Tech forced a lot of mistakes in this game, but it is the most turnovers by a K-State team since 2013 at Oklahoma State. And, you're not going to win games when you lose the turnover battle 5-2.
No, but I would say 2 of those were when you're in the last bit of the game and trying to just take stabs there, obviously. So I thought 3 almost I know it's not garbage time, but it felt like practically garbage time at that moment. I agree with you. I think it may look different if they come through on a few of those early. You're right, because I think game script matters here, and I thought Kansas State got game scripted out of it, because if you don't put Texas Tech down, then you give them opportunities, obviously, which is we've kind of talked into that. But if you don't stay a little bit of attached, and I mean like within 1 score on Texas Tech, then you get yourself into maybe a little bit of one-dimensional, which you kind of were one-dimensional anyway. The only really good run you had all day was Avery's 46-yard touchdown run, which I think everyone kind of knew it was going to be tough to run the ball in Texas Tech. But like then you become even more one-dimensional when you know all Kansas State's going to do is pass the ball, right? When they get down multiple scores in the second half. Well, that's where Texas Tech feasts, because all you got to do is just turn those pass rushers loose. So game script matters against Texas Tech. And if I were to redo the keys to the game, so to speak, I would talk about that. But like don't get into a situation when you're down multiple scores, like basically, and Texas Tech knows you have to throw it, because then you really have like no shot because then they can pin their ears back. And then that's when the turnovers happen too, to be quite honest. So the Jace Brown 2nd and 10 drop was, in a weird way, catastrophic. So I'm with you on that one. And I will say, everyone's like, well, one play. Well, I will say, when you're on offense against Texas Tech, you don't get a lot of chances to come up with good plays. You can't let the actual opportunities for a good one slip away. So against a defense like Texas Tech, that Jace Brown drop would be a blip on the radar against one team. But it's times, 50 against Texas Tech?
Well, then didn't love the 3rd down call to go deep, because I thought you needed to get at least 5-6 yards to at least have a field goal try.
It didn't make sense to go deep when they went for it on 4th down, right?
Which I don't understand, the 4th and 10 going for it at the 39, but then you have 4th and 3 a series later at the 45 and you punt. I'm not sure I understand Chris Kleiman's thinking.
Hey, guys, real quick.
No defense of it, but I would say the yard lines are about 7 yards different there, and also you're going a different direction both times. So I don't know if he was himself factoring in the wind as well.
Yeah, let's squeeze in another break here real quick. Make sure that we get that in. Which, hey, look, we're talking K-State, but if you're a Chiefs fan, Chiefs are going well right now. Calling all Chiefs fans, you could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now. Enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pregame coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. And we're back in just a moment.
My name is Terrell Jolly. A lot of people call me TJ, founder and CEO of Integrity Capital Management. So Integrity Capital Management originally started out as a property management firm, but we slowly transitioned to what is described as an incremental development firm that's focused on situational housing. I know most people say affordable, but we believe in creating housing for people that are actually in need and built to the end user. I believe everyone needs a home, because when you have home, you have hope. The reality is that when you're building a business, one thing you don't think about is like what a true banking relationship means. And, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Debbie early on in my career when I was just trying to get going. And as a small business, it's really challenging at times because people don't understand the concept or not believe the longevity because you're just getting started. But Debbie was willing to take a chance on me, be patient with me. I almost look at it like a grassroots initiative. She's seen and believe what I'm about. Anybody that's really true about their business and want to get some things done, I would definitely trust hands down Emprise, because Deb's team, along with Aaron and Jackie and all the amazing people that work behind the scenes, even from the treasury side, I would say, hey, give them an opportunity, because you won't be disappointed and you will actually be in hands that actually somebody care and that will see you from start to finish.
Okay, we're back. We've got 10 more minutes or so with you probably here. I'm going to have to bounce probably a little earlier than normal tonight, but I figure we're all okay with that based on the way today has gone. It sure seems like it.
Yeah.
I want to respond to something real quick. I see that it's A to the J, KSU, y'all blaming the crowd is embarrassing. I just want to make the distinction. We're in no way blaming the crowd for the loss. It's just that the atmosphere was a little underwhelming, and the third quarter thing continues to be an issue. So if you want to give the team maximum juice to help out, then you're going to need to get rid of the reentry thing. Now, I say that, and Cole was actually out there in the stands. So if you want to say, hey, you guys up in your press box, wearing your beanie, can't say that, then Cole was actually out there. So Cole offers us a different, more balanced perspective.
Yeah, John, I really wasn't. I was sitting in a little bit of a luxury seating situation today.
Oh, yeah. Again, Cole was in the suites once again. Okay, well, listen, we've we've all lost the everyman here on this show. Okay, so just know that 3Ma is the show of the elitists. We have no everyman personality anymore on this show.
But the windows were open, so I was screaming to get a false start. Down at the time on the 4th and 1, and they did get a false start. And credit to Salam, the official, the white hat, who actually correctly called a false start. I know that's hard for him and his crew, but they were able to get that one right. So and no, I'm not blaming the officials for today's game. But Chris Kleiman was really riding the crew hard today, wasn't he?
Kleiman was all over them today, for sure.
I thought they got the raw into the stick on a few things. Not the reason why they lost, but I thought when he was in an uproar, it was probably very well deserved.
Guys, go ahead, John.
Well, I was going to recap. I mean, one of them was the hold that got called on Taylor Poitier that wiped away a touchdown, which I think they got the touchdown anyway. Right after that, was Garrett Oakley.
Yeah.
So it didn't wind up mattering, and it was kind of borderline. I'm trying to he was upset about the field goal when Tech kicked the field goal at the end of the first half. He had called timeout, and they still let him take the practice kick.
He was calling timeout for 5 or 6 seconds, and they didn't give it to him. And then the guy got to kick it, which he was mad because your coaches don't want the other guy to be able to kick it because then he knows how much leg he needs to get it over. So,
yeah.
There was a really weird situation in the first quarter, actually, where Kleiman brought the officials over, was complaining, I thought, for like an illegal hand to the face on Tech that they didn't call. And then the white hat and 2 other officials went over to the Texas Tech bench, not to the sideline, but to their bench, and were talking to their players on the sideline in between a timeout. So
because I don't know if this was the same. When Avery threw that first interception, Lee Hunter literally talked shit to Avery from the pocket all the way to the sideline, just jawing at him.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyways, it is
on that point. Oh, I'm sorry, Cole. But on that point, I just did want to say Texas Tech did a lot of jawing. Those guys do a lot of jawing, but I'm here to say, like, I kind of commend that. I like the fire on both sides. Texas Tech comes in looking to kick your ass and tell you about it. And like, that's what I want out of my football team. So kudos to Tech for doing that. And K-State, for how much we complained about no fire on the sideline and nobody caring about anything for the first month of the season, that was like, I felt like there was more of that, honestly, today than we've seen at any point this year. I guess probably last week too in Lawrence, but like they were fired up, man. Like they got the sideline warning early in the game. Like I at least like that. Like this was the team that we've seen for the last month, which is the good version of this team.
Yeah, and for any Texas Tech listeners, I wasn't judging, but like Lee Hunter was just like a little borderline excessive on Avery, so that might have been some of it. Yep.
Wow, my driver took that turn a little fast there. Shout out to the First Lady of 3 Mile. We're going across the Council Groves Dam right now. All right. I wanted to echo a couple things you guys said, but I'll also just call out, guys, K-State had been 5 of 5 on 4th downs offensively the last 3 games going into today, and today 0 of 4 on 4th downs. Again, not really in situations where it's easy to convert other than that 4th and 1 where Avery had to try and bounce outside. But the 126 yards rushing was the most Tech has given up this year, and the 4.2 yards per carry by K-State was the most. Tech had only given up 3.4 is the most all year. K-State has 4.2. The Avery run was by far the longest. Remember, guys, Tech hadn't allowed a 30-yard carry on the season.
So you take that Avery one away, though, and I get to real dim.
Well, to that point, DY, what I was going to say was K-State might have the worst running back room in the Big 12 without Dylan Edwards.
In the Big 12, I need to examine that. It's probably on the table, but yeah. So without that run by Avery, it's 29 carries for 80 yards.
Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I'm sorry, but
he's not
Joe
good.
Jackson just can't. Joe Jackson can't make anybody miss.
But he also can't get to the line of scrimmage fast enough.
No. Like there's been plays, you called it out, DY, during the game. There were a couple times plays were blocked up pretty well, and he got 2 yards. Like it's not good. And Avery Johnson, he ran the ball pretty well today. I mean, you got to think about it. The most rushing yards Tech had allowed to a single player individually all year was 69, and that was Arizona State Freddie Brown, and he had 88 today on the ground.
I was just saying nice for the 69. I'm sorry.
Can I at least like kind of dive into a bigger picture a little bit here?
Yeah, I've got like 5 minutes here, so we can.
Oh, okay. I wrote something out, so I'm just going to basically say what I wrote out. It's getting stale across the board at Kansas State for me, and to be honest, athletic director Gene Taylor owns that, and he's not the only one, but he's in charge, right? So, and being just okay shouldn't be good enough. Like, that's where I'm at. Being just okay shouldn't be good enough. And I think for some people, it is good enough. And I don't want to be like with those people. I want people that want to be better than good enough. And it feels like Kansas State, for whatever reason across the board right now, is just okay with being just good enough, with being just okay. We're just okay in football, where we're trying to lean on beating Kansas and winning 6 to 8 games a year and holding that up as some kind of achievement and good enough as Kansas State. And we're doing that in the previous Big 12, and we're doing that in the current Big 12, which is a little bit like not extremely watered down, but a watered down version from what it once was. So the standards should be different, and for some reason they are not. They are not. And Kansas State is still just okay with being just okay or good enough. And it goes, and I say across the board because it goes to basketball. They missed the NCAA tournament 2 times in a row. Might be staring down number 3 this season that is about to get underway. Might. We don't know.
Here's the only thing I'll say, DY. I love where you're going, and I think this is a great topic for a bye week show coming up this week. I would love to talk more about that. Absolutely love to. I am with you every step of the way. The difference I will say with basketball is that I think the people around the basketball program have the correct attitude about this. I think Jerome Tang and company, like they are ballsy to go to find money and go. They'll shoot their shot. Like they're trying.
Yeah,
but they're not executing as well as like football can execute. But it's like the sense of urgency around football just doesn't seem to be there nearly as much. Basketball's trying.
Yeah,
they're and we'll see about that. I don't want to be unfair to this year's team. I didn't even see the exhibition game. I just know they gave up 90 to Newman.
They got some work to do.
It does not look, based on what I saw against Mizzou, like that's a slam dunk tournament team. So we'll see. But basketball is at least the problem there is not that they don't have the sense of urgency to understand the moment. And Jerome Tang came on and was like, "Hey, give us the money, we'll win you a championship." Like I want more of that attitude, but you need to be able to execute. Football's got more of the execution, but they don't have the attitude. And then, yes, it does seem like the attitude from the top of the athletic department is more like, well, you guys should just be happy with this and not, be so frustrated. So that is, I don't love that.
I guess as what I've turned into as a fan and supporter of the program and as someone that covers the program every day, I just get this feeling of being stale, being okay with, like, we know the people. There's some of the people are the ones that give a lot of money. Some of them are in the athletic department. The people that say, hey, if we win 7 games, and one of them's against Kansas, I'm okay with it. Well, I'm not okay with it. And then in basketball, I'm not okay if they miss a 3rd NCAA tournament in a row. Maybe they won't. It's early. Their early signs aren't promising, but it's early. But like, you talk about that money approach with basketball, and you are exactly right. That attitude, I wish manifested itself across all programs in the athletic department as a whole. But like, they're trying to be like the Texas Tech of the sport, and they have a roster that's not what Texas Tech is in football. Texas Tech goes out and does what they do, and they have they have the best roster in the Big 12. Kansas State goes and does that in basketball with the same kind of money and attitude relative to their peers in the sport or close to it, and you still have the 12th or 13th best roster. They had to luck into PJ Haggerty. What I am saying is, and they'll miss if they miss the NCAA tournament for a 3rd year in a row, like, is there any consequences? I don't know. Maybe not. What I am saying is I'm tired of the freaking crap where it's okay to not be good.
All right, Cole, I really do have to run. Cole, if you want to take
bullshit.
You want to take a little stand? Wow.
No, I'll go real quick, John. I gag whenever I hear anybody talk about getting to 6 wins in a bowl. and I heard it again today. And I don't care about getting to 6 wins in a bowl. So, like, and I'm not saying that's the attitude throughout, but that permeates with some, and I'm not okay with that. I would echo what DY said. A lot of it, I think I agree with everything you guys said, and we'll talk about it more on a bye week show. So that's a nice little teaser for folks to tune in, subscribe to the channel if you don't already. But no, it's good. I think it's a good topic to bring up, because I will say this: criticism being that well received. And it does feel like they're like, you should be grateful for what we've done. Like, it's just that type of attitude, and that rubs me the wrong way. So let's just hope that's not really what's going on, but that's my perception.
Yeah. Audio was dipping in a little in and out there, Cole. So we'll get us all, we'll get it sorted out and situated next week. We'll talk about that. I mean, honestly, on the 6 wins front, even if people are talking about that right now, I think I was starting to have this convo with Mason. I think another thing worth discussing is, now that you are out of the Big 12 title race, which Kleiman said he was holding up as a carrot for the team, I mean, I do think there's a possibility that they could finish 5-7. They could find a way to lose one of those 2 games that we're counting as wins. I mean, they've got a bye week. I think this will be a challenge, an interesting challenge to keep everybody engaged when it's a bye week and then playing Oklahoma State, the worst team in the league. I'll be very interested to see how that goes. But yeah, I care basically 0% about that. Guys, I'll be honest too, I don't care if they play in a bowl game this year. I do not care. I do not care. I think it matters 0% to the future of the program these days. Like, it's not like you need the practice time and all that stuff anymore. I think it matters 0%. I do not care if it happens. I could not agree more with that. Anyway, we'll talk more big picture. Thank you to Holiday Distillery for the great tailgate today. Thank you to Alenko. Thank you to Nick Springer for making this work behind the scenes when he was out at the Kansas game today. Appreciate Cole for popping in via car. Appreciate DY for popping in via whatever's going on at his apartment. Sincerely, thank you guys. I was not looking forward to having to do that by myself today. So appreciate everybody. Thanks everybody in the comments. We will talk to you very soon. Thanks for listening to 3 Mock.